And I got to put some of this responsibility on the African American audience. You know, we kick and scream about what's in the theaters, but we do not show up to see Daughters of the Dust. We don't show up to see Eve's Bayou. We didn't show up to see Rosewood. We didn't show up to see Get on the Bus. But we're beating down the door to see Set It Off or a Booty Call.
I think the big being, or better yet, a training ground for young people to be agents. As they sit next to the ball player saying, well, man, you could end up being an agent or whatever. No, once again, it's a big white boy network that says, you know what? To train young people to fill all these other positions other than these stereotypical standard 3 positions of dribbling the ball, singing, dancing, or doing whatever is a threat on our job. And that's basically been the biggest travesty to shins or whatever off to wherever they live in their fantasy world or on these high-rise music companies fucking floors, and they live in their own isolated worlds without any accountability to the communities for which they sell this fucking product to. And they say, well, you know, hey, you know, I'm in the business, baby.
There has been incremental progress. I mean, if you look at the landscape today, it is not the same it was before Robert Townsend's Haywood Shuffle and She's Gonna Have It came out in '86. You know, those 2 films are considered ushering in the so-called black new wave of cinema. You know, have the films evolved that much since then? You could make a lot of cases on either hand, but it seems like the films are slotted. You know, there's a typical film that a studio is going to make. You're going to have, before, which we don't have that much more, you know, the hood shoot 'em up rap drama. Now you have the hip hop comedy, and a bad execution of that was this new film Ride, and I think that we could do better than that. You know, that's not to knock the makers or anybody, you know, connected with that film, but we got to do better work than that. And I got to put some of this responsibility on the African American audience. You know, we kick and scream about what's in the theaters, but we do not show up to see Daughters of the Dust. We don't show up to see Eve's Bayou. We didn't show up to see Rosewood. We didn't show up to see Get on the Bus. But we're beating down the door to see Set It Off or a Booty Call. Right. And the studios are not doing this because they love us. They go by the numbers. They have it down to a system. Any film, they go with that opening 3-day box office number. They could predict, you know, varying 5 or 10% what the gross of a film is gonna be just by those opening 3 days. And we take a long time, and we don't show up to support those films, those opening 3 days. The next time you're able to catch those films is gonna be on videotape. And a lot of that, I mean, it's our fault. We don't, in certain cases, we've not supported the films that we should have. I think it's very critical because there is a big difference between what young white males think is attainable and what young black males feel. Young white males are much more in touch with the reality, with the reality that it's a 1 in a million shot to make it, to play pro ball. I think it's 1 in 10,000, excuse me. But even, it might be more than that. But young black kids, how many times you tell them the odds, these guys still think they're gonna play the NBA. They won't take no for an answer. And at the same time, it's hard to crush somebody's dreams. But you gotta have a backup though. And like Chuck said, we have too many, I mean, we dominate the NBA, more than half the NFL, and if you add the Latin ball players with the brothers in Major League Baseball, it makes a big number up for that. But when you go into the front office, it's different. And we talk about the ownership of Major League ball clubs. There's not one professional Major League sports owned by an African American. So you could easily make this whole analogy of this just being another form of slavery, you know, and this is a plantation, especially with football. Football is a brutal sport, and I just treated as cattle. Somebody gets hurt, drag them off the field, bring somebody in. We don't care. That's all it is.
Don't even know what he looks like unless they flash him on the screen.
And one day, these brothers are going to wake up and discover the power that they have if they ever got together. There's no reason in the world. What's my man's name on Green Bay?
Reggie White?
No, the coach, Sherman Lewis.
Oh yeah, Sherman Lewis.
There's no reason in the world why Sherman Lewis, NFL coach. This guy doesn't even get an interview. And they hire these bums, recycle these mamalukes that've never had a winning season. What's the guy, your boy's name?
Why you my boy, right?
Before Parcells.
Yeah,
Coach-type. Terrible. This guy was terrible with the Eagles, and then they hired him for the Jets.
Well, it's the same thing in business where they give these guys all these big companies for failing upward. Look at the guy that used to be ahead of Sony, and he just took all the money from the Japanese and ruined the company, and then he gets a bigger deal. They do that same thing in the music industry where a guy just, you know, kisses away the industry and then they fail upward. The only black person I know got away with that was Andre Arell. So obviously he's doing something that we don't know about. So I really, he's a rare breed.
You should be commended for that.
Maybe he takes off a mask and he's really a white man or something. But yeah, I give props to him for doing that because that's some unbelievable shit he's getting away with.
Wait, I called on this girl before.
Yeah, Chuck D said it. I live at Roosevelt, Long Island.
And I want to ask you, Spike and Chuck, how do you feel about the fact that a lot of black kids who maybe come from Africa or Jamaicans are not socialized the same way and don't really, and they feel like they have more options than black kids who are here in America and sort of idolize and so forth? I noticed like a lot of Senegalese and a lot of people who come from elsewhere come to America, and they see a different reality for themselves than black kids in America. How is that?
That's easy to answer because immigrants have always come to America as a land of opportunity. So they're like, bet, this is 10 times better from where I came from. And that's why, you know, Jamaicans would come in and work 5 jobs.
Let me tell you,
and to buy that house. And I don't want to make a generalization, but I have to believe that education just stress more in the home, compared to some of the African American families.
Yeah, but I'd say that Americanization is running rampant all over the planet. Because, like, for example, on one of the Bahamian islands, right? This just happened like 4 or 5 months ago. These kids that live on one of the islands, right? Source set it off. Here they dressing like Crips and Bloods, right? Only a small pack with about 15 kids running on the island. They robbed the only bank on the motherfucking island and go back to their crib. Everybody know who they are. They can't leave the motherfucking island. And then they up there was like, yeah, we did it. Think we was gonna get caught. That's the American mentality. It's like, Americans are like sheep. You know what sheep do? Sheep just follow. Shepherds they can't see. To where? Most often to slaughter. And Americanization of human beings is to make them follow and not use their brain and not use their minds. And hey, this is a big exploding society, capitalistic wise. Shit, get motherfuckers to be consumers. Let them consume more than what they got. And it's the American. And companies are thriving, music business is thriving, the film companies are thriving. Let you drift off into your dream and let you get away from your realities. Reality sets in when you're about 30, when you say, well, fuck them Iversons. I gotta pay rent, I gotta eat, I got kids, I got mortgage and taxes, and from 25 under, there's a big thing to just like get young people's minds and somehow find that dollar, whether you as an adult spend it or they'd spend everything they got or stick it up and get it. Number one, fight the power. Once again, you got to give props to the guy that creates the project. The soundtrack is underneath the movie. The movie and the theme remains paramount. So you pretty much have the ability to lean into the thought and the creativity of the flick, and lean into that as something, as a tool to help you with your creativity. Making songs many times are like you making them out of thin air, but actually a theme to attach it to gives you more of energy, it gives you more of a fuel, it gives you more of a teamwork and attitude to say, okay, I want to put something together to complement what I've seen or complement the game plan. It's almost like Spike set the game plan, Hank was the quarterback, I was the receiver. The thing about it with Fight the Power, we didn't know that Spike was gonna put this song in the movie 80 fucking times. I mean, so he actually made it possible to be strong because he didn't put it in there and it disappeared. So he actually brought it over and over. That statement was the first of its kind to bring in. So to get the credit from Fight the Power of propelling the film happens to be how Spike saw fit, like he had the fuel to use it. In this case, you know, it was a combination, I know I can't speak for Spike, but the combination of the classical with the hip hop score and the overview and the meshing and the mixing, and to be able to come up with various topics to line in with the theme of the movie, to line socially, what's happening on the streets at the same time, and at the same time say something that metaphor could flip both ways. I mean, you know,
Give us some lyrics that you use.
Give some lyrics? I would have to read them. I got a bad
No, but I
memory.
mean, the great thing, as he said before, he knows almost as much sports as I do. And he was able to use sports and basketball expressions to comment, you know, on the film and also what is happening in the world today.
Is P going to tour and how's play?
That's what they say, YTD, yet to be determined. So far the answer is no. And Flavor's doing all right. So come June and July, I'll make some decisions. Looking about releasing another piece in the fall, and I'll make some solid decisions for 1999. Until then,